Welcome to Fundraising Confessions, the truth behind the profession, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on what really happens in the world of fundraising. No fluff, no filters. I'm your host, Rochelle Jerry, and today we have a very special episode for you. Before we dive in, a quick shout out to our sponsors. As you may have noticed, the landscape of media has evolved. Podcasts, YouTube channels, and digital outlets aren't just passion projects anymore. They're thriving businesses supported by mission aligned sponsors, from nonprofit tech platforms to purpose driven brands. Sponsorships are fueling the very conversations we're having today. However, we don't have any sponsors yet, but you know it's coming, right? Because it happens in media, right? That's what happens as you grow. Partners want to join you and share the impressions of your viewers. It's not a bad thing, right? It's actually a great idea. So, on today's episode, we're joined by a trailblazing female fundraiser and a friend of mine in the media space. She'll share why more and more outlets, from investigative newsrooms to creative driven YouTube series, are calling in professional fundraisers to build sustainable revenue streams. Our topic today: the rising need for fundraisers in media. We'll unpack why sponsorships has become the new lifeblood for podcasts, video series, and digital newsletters. How ethical guardrails keep content independent even as dollars flow in. Reverend Ngozi T. Robinson, welcome to Fundraising Confessions, the truth behind the profession. Now, if you bear with me a few more minutes, I'm going to read your bio. Okay, I'm going to celebrate you, give you your flowers. Okay. Ngozi is a visionary leader dedicated to fostering justice, equity, and peace through her expertise in ministry, conflict resolution, and nonprofit development. As the founder of NTR, Associate in People of the Way Ministries, she designs strategic initiatives and inclusive faith communities that empower organizations and individuals to thrive. As the co-founder and co-executive director of Blacktivity, Ngozi marries her love of the arts. She's authored 8 books, her passion for helping people, and her nonprofit acumen, holding advanced degrees in theology and conflict resolution, and possessing 25 years of nonprofit experience. Ngozi combines her interdisciplinary knowledge with a passion for transformative leadership that inspires sustainable, equitable change. So, of course, we'll celebrate Ngozi and her partner, Devin White's latest launch, Blacktivity, a recent Essence article, and dig into what it takes to fund and scale a media initiative that centers Black creativity at its core. But wait, we want to congratulate you on your successful book, your New York Times Square billboard, Shameless Audacity. Tell us about the book and where we can purchase it.
So in March, thank you for, first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I feel famous, so mission accomplished. Um, in March, I came out with my 8th book, which is called Shameless Audacity: How Black Women Can Find Strength in the Teachings of Christ. And it's really written almost like a workbook. I mean, there's 10 sections where we take a statement of Christ and break down how it relates to Black women today. And I think everyone can relate to it, but it's a real practical guide to how you exercise your faith in a world of shifting landscapes and adjusting priorities, which is really what we need right now. And I kind of feel like Blacktivity, the nonprofit that uh, my partner and I are in the middle of launching right now, is the other side of that, which is the community that you need to build when things are getting a little crazy in the world. So I'm very happy to be able to contribute in some way to hopefully making the world a better place. Because you
Yeah, that's
can't raise
awesome.
money all the time. You can raise it most of the time, but you got to have something else as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. So I'm so excited to have you here. So please grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's get real about fundraising and media. Because whether you're a seasoned development pro or just curious about what goes on behind the scenes, you're in for some honest conversations and expert insights. So we're going to jump right on in to fundraising confessions. And I would love to just kick things off by asking Ngozi of what inspired you to create and work with Blacktivity, and what impact you hope it will have in the media landscape?
So, Blacktivity is a free ad supported streaming network for Black and BIPOC content of substance that's launching August 30th, 2025. And uh, I was approached by my co founder and co executive director. We used to work together on a project a few years ago. I was approached by him about being involved, and my heart sang when I heard about this project and all the different parts of me it could marry in working on it. And I joined as a founding board member, but quickly rose up the ranks
Mhm,
to co-founder and co-executive director. So um, I just love the idea of creating um, not a Zeus network, if you will, where the lowest common denominator of Black entertainment is uplifted. There's a role for that, but we wanted to do something that was more substantial about the stories and the information that you couldn't necessarily get as easily, that would really
mhm,
be enriching and tell pieces of our story that don't normally get told. So I love that. I love the idea of being a nonprofit in that
mhm.
space because it really allows us to prioritize the creators and the creatives. And you said you believe in giving your guests their flowers. We believe in giving the creators their flowers. So we
Yeah.
want all our money, well, let's be clear, almost all of our money to go to them.
Mhm.
We still have to run and operate, which is
Yeah.
where I get to bring my nonprofit experience to bear. So it's a nice marriage of a lot of pieces that I don't think normally people think of going together, but turns out they're a really good fit. So
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all of your accomplishments and the launch of Blacktivity. So, congratulations to you and all of your creative partners and the network. That is exciting. I can't wait to see it this year. And tell us how did you get drawn into fundraising in the media sector, and what opportunities or challenges did you encounter early on?
I have, I mean, I write books, but I'm an independently published author, so it's a
Hmm.
little different the way I approach the media and entertainment sector. I would say I'm very peripherally involved before Blacktivity, so it came up on me and snuck up behind me and hit me on the head. That's how I got into it, and it's very different. For example, Nobody nobody wants a proposal. They want a deck. They want,
Yeah.
the decks are like if you can't put it in a PowerPoint slide or, they don't want to see it. They're not
Yeah.
interested in it at all. And I realized, I mean, I was always because grant writing is my happy place. It's where my
Hmm.
soul sings, probably because I'm a writer. Um, but um, people don't read, and I've had to come face to face with that in the entertainment and media industry. They want quick bullet
Yes.
points. get in, make your point, get out, tell them exactly what you're asking for. And I think that's impacting also how I deal with fundraising in general, but definitely in media. People want the information transmitted to them as quickly and as
Mhm.
bare bones, as possible. And I'm learning how to do that. And it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and fundraising as a profession is an ethical profession, right? So I don't think people realize that fundraisers are behind a lot of what you see in media partnerships, right? And so when you think about newsrooms shrinking and independent digital outlets proliferating, why do you think more media organizations are turning to professional fundraisers?
Look, everybody's running out of money. It's 2025 and the world is on fire. So we got to look at sources that a lot of organizations, individuals, and movements haven't
Mhm,
necessarily looked at before in order to stay
mhm,
solvent and continue pushing whatever the mission is forward. So
mhm.
that's
Yeah.
the deal. I mean, once a month, I probably do a general sweep of my funding sources just to look for funding in areas I don't normally uh,
Mhm.
traverse. So
Yeah.
I'll think about all of my journalist friends and I will just forward a bunch of them in a group, all of the journalism grants and fellowships that are out there. I'll do the same for individuals. I do the same for, small nonprofits with no 990s because they're really tiny.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of what's going on, where that funding is hidden. I mean, some major funding sources don't even have a website. So they're
Right.
for everybody, we're looking under rocks, we're beating the bushes, we're trying to find any
Mhm.
possible funding that aligns um, with the organization goals or the business or the individual goals, and pursue them. So
That's right. That's right. Well, that made me think about sustainable models, right? Like, what funding models do you see gaining traction in media today? And why? Because everyone understands the subscriptions now that you see on all the social media platform, right? You can subscribe, you can pay your $1.99 to get your updates or your benefits. You could be a VIP, you could be the top fan. So, what funding models have you seen gain traction in media today?
well, it's interesting because I think in previous generations, people's parents and to a certain extent the companies they worked for trained them in what philanthropic giving looked like.
Mm,
And I'm not seeing that in the millennials and
mhm,
below
mhm,
today. So all the models are we have to show people why giving is a thing and how
mhm,
to do it, and that it's important. So it's that educational piece of this stuff doesn't work for free, which
right.
a lot of people tend to want to think that organizations just go on and operate magically, just to sort of have those conversations in a way that makes sense. Like, we need your $50, please. It really
Yes.
does make a difference. So
Yeah.
it's that educational piece that I find is the most crucial.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, but the cross sector collaboration, right? A lot of times in the nonprofit or the grant world, we suggest collaboration and ideas and to have that ideation so you can receive more funding to actually provide your services and your fulfill your mission. So how important is it for media outlets to partner with nonprofits and foundations or mission driven organizations? Maybe share an example of something you've seen, as a collaboration in media that has driven success.
Well, so for example, Blacktivity is partnered with Cruise Control Entertainment, which does,
Mhm.
multi-million dollar arena and stadium entertainment tours, mostly up and down the East Coast. And our launch event is actually going to be at CFG Arena in Baltimore with artists The Baby, Tink,
Mhm.
Mariah the Scientist, Friday, DJ Quicksilver.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, that's great for us because
Mhm.
it's this spotlight, interesting event. But how does it really align with what Blacktivity does? And we were able to bring in a whole community engagement piece to that night of entertainment, that the concert
Mhm.
organizers came back to us and said, "You've turned this into something more than a concert. Now it has," they said, "now it has principles and ideals."
Right.
Like we're honoring 6 Black
Right.
media who are local to the area. We've got community dance partners who are gonna, battle between DC and Baltimore. And we're just doing some things to uplift the community. So um I think it helps Cruise Control Entertainment because, let's be honest, they're able to draw more sponsors because the majority of the sponsorship is tax deductible with us as their
Mhm.
partner. But then we also give meaning to what they're doing in a different way. So I think of it as an opportunity on both sides. And I've always said, that corporate funding is something that a lot of nonprofits are just missing a trick on. They don't
Mm.
even approach them. They don't think that there's a conversation to be had there. And I've always disagreed with that. And now I'm getting to see it, happen in real time with Blacktivity and our partners.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as a professional fundraiser, you understand the impact on community initiatives, right? And uplifting those around you where you exist, right? That's an important part of the work. So I know one of the biggest concerns is that donor influence or that sponsorship influence over content, right? So, do you put any guardrails and processes in place to ensure that your partnerships or sponsorships doesn't compromise your message and what you're doing?
Well, our message is pretty out there and in front, which, if you're not interested in Black and BIPOC stories of content, you keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
But we are also very we're very clear and we're very transparent. So, for example, we've got a reality show that we're going to be shooting this fall. That's really going to be one of our signature pieces and come out
Mm-hmm.
next year. And
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be some tighter sponsorship in that, but it will always be super apparent to the viewer that there's a sponsorship going on. It'll make sense. It won't be like, oh, sponsored by NASA, and this is a
Right.
story about gardening. It doesn't have anything to do
Right.
with, you know. So,
Right.
I mean, I think that there's a hesitation about the independence there that
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, keeps people from asking, but just be
Mm.
explicit about it. Listen,
That's right.
as I'm sure you know, one thing that being a fundraiser does is you become fearless in asking for money. But
Yes.
I still think in some ways the industry as a whole is a little afraid of asking certain
Mhm.
areas for money. And I'm like, no,
Right. That's
all
right.
no, you don't have it now. You might as well have a chance of getting it.
That's right. That's right. That's a good perspective. And I like to tell people that, It's not necessarily asking for money. You are sharing your mission and your priorities to someone who shares the same linkage, ability, and interest, right? And if they don't, you move on to the next one. It's okay, right?
Well, see, that's the thing that I have to constantly remind myself, because
Mhm.
what you got to understand is, at like 7 or 8 years old, I decided I needed a whoopee cushion. So I went outside and I sold over salted popcorn for 25 cents. But the water, which you would need because the popcorn was over salted, see, marketing, was 50 cents until I could get all the money I need. So I'm a natural salesperson. So I always have
Yes,
to remind myself that the asking for the money, that should be the foregone conclusion after you've connected to this person or this organization about their values and their priorities. So I was going to
yes,
ask first, well, what do you care about? And
that's
then
right.
that's the discussion.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so transparency, with your audiences, I appreciate, how candid you are, with, Blacktivity, right? If you want to support a Black creative media outlet, this is your area, right? So how do you have any challenges with that and funding sources and the need to protect um, anyone who may not want to be as open as supporting your organization? Any challenges there?
Well, I mean, the challenge has honestly been people continually asking us why we're a nonprofit in
Mm,
the media and entertainment space, because everybody's used to making money and they're like, oh, we can do this, we can do this. Why are you a nonprofit? Where's all your money going? And we're like, to the creatives. It shouldn't be
right.
that hard to understand. But it is, we're operating differently in this space because our entire mission is not to build notoriety for ourselves, not to build ourselves up, but to empower these creatives and to make sure that every single thing we're doing has that mission, has that focus. So
Yeah.
it's been my partner is deep into the has a decade of experience in the music business. I come to this entertainment industry very wide-eyed because it's new to me. So I continue to understand and experience what he's talking about, how it's a money game. And everybody, or a lot of people, are out here to see how they can make money off of a creator's desperation. And
Mm,
so I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing how needed an organization like Blacktivity is. But then it's also a challenge because I see why they need the money. It takes money
right.
to do this stuff, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
So it's an interesting challenge. It's a delicate balance, and
Yeah.
it just is confirming to me with every episode, or with every encounter we have. Oh, we're
Hmm.
really needed in this space.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, we mentioned, ethical, fundraising, and that we are professional fundraisers, right? And so, are there any frameworks that you use? I know when I speak to people or talk about providing services as a result of Jerry Consulting Group or as a professional fundraising contractor, I use the Association of Fundraising Professionals Code of Ethical Standards, right? To say you are in conversations with an ethical professional fundraiser so that you understand the level of professional services you are receiving. Do you use anything like that to set the standard of principles and practice, or when you have to navigate maybe difficult conversations where you have to talk about alignment with your values?
Oh yeah, I mean, and it comes up a lot because there's not a lot of nonprofit action in this space. So people are encountering us and not knowing how to move necessarily. So they're like,
Mhm.
I want to give you all my money and you give it back to me tax deductible. Well, wait a minute now. We
Mhm.
are not, we don't exist to launder your money for you. We have to have a
Mhm.
conversation about how that would take place. And a lot of it's just education. And then some of it is new. So I may have to go back and ask people or, go back to the books and say, okay, what is the ethical structure around this? And what might a
Mhm.
partnership look like? And what can we do and can we not do? Um,
Mhm.
so it's much more of a conversation now starting this new nonprofit than it's ever been because
Mhm. Mhm.
we're making policy. We're deciding in the moment what works and what doesn't. We've got, sponsors coming to us and we have to look at, does this we could
Mhm.
really use this money, but it does not fit. And we have to say
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, as you look ahead, with you mentioned the launch of Blacktivity, which is coming in the fall, right? So, as media and technology continue to evolve, what trends or innovations are you most excited about over the next couple of years?
just I'll tell you what I'm terrified of. I'm terrified of competitors. I'm like, please, nobody start a Black and BIPOC streaming service between now and October and August 30th. Please. Oh, heck in heaven. Can you just help me? But then ideas are free. Whoever can do what they want to do. So
Yeah.
when I look forward positively,
Hmm.
I just I think we're going to continue to detach from our televisions. So it's
Hmm.
fruitful for a streaming service that's available on your TV, yes, but also on your iOS and your Android device and your
Hmm.
Surface and your
Hmm.
Kindle Fire and
That's
Amazon
right.
tablet and all these other things. So, and and I'm hopeful that more folks will give us a chance. I mean, we have a target audience we're going for, the 18 to 36,
Hmm.
Black and their allies and BIPOC
Hmm.
demographic, the early adapters. But I'm hoping that the aunties will follow because Black women
Yeah.
always validate what's ultimately going to be
Right.
cool and successful.
Right.
But
Right.
it's a little different because we've got to market ourselves and make ourselves relevant to some kind of distinct audiences and
Hmm.
really bring it together and
Hmm.
and do all of that with a mission and integrity because there's a
That's
lot of people moving in the media and entertainment space that do not have those principles. So all we can
that's right.
do is move how we move and hopefully people see it and
Yeah.
are are attracted to the integrity and to the mission.
Yeah. And that's in every industry, right? We always see the bad apples and what happens when they're not ethical practices. But that's good advice. Seek out the people that are having those ethical conversations and practices and principles, so you can aspire to move forward in whatever industry you're in. But for fundraisers, looking to break into that media space, where you are leading the charge, what skills or experiences would you recommend that they cultivate first?
I mean, we've had, as the co-founders of Blacktivity, we've had people reach out to us on social media just wanting to be involved in
Hmm.
marketing, in fundraising, in just spreading the word as influencers. And I've always been impressed by the people who've just reached out and said, "Hey, I'm really interested. I would love to be involved. Can we have a conversation?" I think there's there's potential there, and I would never tell a fundraising professional to work on spec unless it's a passion project and you're really, clear about what you're
Mm-hmm.
getting into. But there's nothing wrong with asking for an opportunity to work a
Mm-hmm.
little closely or a little more closely with an organization that you admire. So I would say the thing you need is courage to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the title of your book? That Shameless, Shameless
Shameless
Audacity?
audacity. I wrote that book, but God is still working on me with the shameless audacity because I
Yeah.
tend to want to lead from very,
Mm-hmm.
very far behind in the back. And
Mm-hmm.
now is not the season for that in my life. So
Yeah.
I'm giving other people the same advice that I'm trying to take myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. Well, you're amazing. You are doing amazing work, and I'm definitely proud to know you. And I'm glad you're sharing your joy and your passion projects. It's quite amazing. So when you think about like your legacy and what you want to leave through your work on Blacktivity and through fundraising and media, what are you thinking?
Legacy. You know, my mother used to say, I used to say when I was younger, if I could just change one life, it would all be worth it. And my mother would go, one life? That's barely paying your fare here. You got to touch as many lives as possible.
Yeah.
And now I have a spiritual mentor, now that my mom, who was my original spiritual mentor, is gone, who reminds me that that's kind of dangerous. This sort of relentless desire to or drive to achieve things to make a
Mhm.
difference that God wants us to
Mhm.
just be. God loves us to
Mhm.
are. And so legacy, I would love for people to look at me and say she lived with her whole heart. And I
Mhm.
don't have to have any check boxes checked as far as what I've achieved in this world, but I would like
Mhm.
to be who God made me to be and just live into that moment, whether or not I have, thousands of followers or my
Mhm.
books are bestsellers, or ultimately even if Blacktivity succeeds. Did I walk in a way that made God
Mhm.
proud, that let other
Yeah,
people know I'm moving a little differently in this world? So
that's right. That's right. I love that. So, any key takeaways from our conversation you would like to share?
um it's all new. So just dive in and get your feet wet and see. I mean, we have these skills, but they don't grow unless we're continually refining them and taking on bigger issues and more challenging opportunities. So this all
Mhm.
happened because somebody saw how I moved in the world and asked me to be involved. And I took a chance on something totally new and wild and said yes. And now, it's taken off. People who didn't answer my call in the beginning, now I can say, well, we're in Forbes, we're in Essence, and all of a sudden I'm on the books now. So things can turn in ways that you can't expect. So go after what is calling your spirit, I think.
That's awesome. I love creating this space for these stories. And can I just give you one more flower that this podcast
Listen,
was?
I am receiving the flowers.
This you have such great ideas, and that this podcast was your idea because you are in this media space, and it was something I didn't think I would enjoy, and you suggested it, and now I'm off and running. Right, it is something I'm learning how to do. I feel like each one gets better and better, and it's like a real time growth and development, and I love
Mm.
it. So just having the courage to do that, right? So I think some of the key takeaways for me and for the Fundraising Confessions podcast is that ethical guardrails are non-negotiable. Have clear conflict of interest policies, editorial processes, that protect your content, your journalistic independence, right? Transparency builds trust. Sponsorships, fuel your story and your content. Media is embracing, the fundraising expertise. So kudos to media for looking to a profession that is ethical, that can help you power your movement, right? So look at a professional fundraiser to help you secure sustainable revenue through sponsorships, grants, subscriptions, membership, underwriting, right? All of those things that help you fuel your media outlet. And just, being able to say no, right? If it doesn't align with what you're doing, be comfortable with saying no. Your organization doesn't align with my mission or my target audience. So I appreciate you and using Blacktivity as a model by centering Black creativity and storytelling. I think it's awesome. It exemplifies how mission-driven media ventures can attract, passionate funders, who will share your vision. And so I'll let you give some kudos before I do my ending outro. I've appreciated this conversation so much. So if you can tell us one more time when Blacktivity is launching and where we can find your book.
So Blacktivity is going to be launching on August 30th. You will be able to check us out online or on any of the apps. You can go to watchblacktivity.com and find out a little bit about us now and sign up to be notified as developments in the future. My books are available everywhere digitally. So anywhere you can type in Ngozi IT Robinson, you can find me. And then they're available in print on Amazon. And I got a couple little audio books out there that are working as well. I got to use this mic more and record some more when the dogs above me aren't wrestling, that is, So I'm available there. You can visit me online in ngozirobinson.com for my writing. My whole ministry life is available on peopleoftheway.faith online. And you'll see me kicking about on social media, mostly TikTok. That's my happy place.
I love it. I love it. And that wraps up another episode of Fundraising Confessions, the truth behind the profession. A huge thank you to Ngozi Robinson for sharing her journey in media fundraising and for shining a spotlight on Blacktivity and all of her projects. We can't wait to see how it grows. To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review and share the episode with a friend who cares about media innovation and ethical fundraising. This show would have been made possible by our wonderful sponsors. If you are a software company, nonprofit fundraising tools company, hit us up at Rochelle at consultjerry.com if you want to fuel honest conversations like this one. I'm Rochelle Jerry. Join us next time for more unfiltered stories, expert tips, and confessions from the front line of fundraising. Until then, keep up Keep fundraising with integrity and keep telling stories that matter.